So I believe you're able to see my screen.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. Okay. Well, today's topic is essentials of teaching, and the reason I have chosen this topic is that it has been quite some time that now I've been observing everybody's classes, and in that process, I could identify certain things which I feel that if I address and if that is implemented in the class, probably the students' engagement level in the class may increase. So that's the reason I have chosen the topic. um, the objectives are, see, we have got very little time in hand. We've got just 1 hour, and I have quite a lot of objectives which I've put in here. So let me first share the objectives, and then I'll tell you what are the things which we need to follow during the session. By the end of today's session, we intend to identify the difference between the fixed and the growth mindset. The reason I have kept the fixed and growth mindset is that this is very important for all of us to understand. And if we, kind of understand growth mindset and we imbibe that growth mindset, we will be automatically able to transfer the same growth mindset in the students. So that's the reason it has been kept. Second is to reason out why sharing of learning objectives with the students is important, because this was one thing which I found majorly missing of not sharing learning objectives inside the class. So we will see the usefulness of it. Then third is learn to create success criteria and how to use it effectively inside the class. If we want that our children should be performing really well in whatever task we want them to perform, then in that case, we need to share the success criteria with them. Next is 4 strategies which can be used frequently to keep the students actively engaged. These are those very quick strategies which you can use and wherein you can very, very quickly, formatively assess your students. So just make them think actively, which means all of them will be simultaneously thinking. Then the next agenda is to keep to know about effective questioning tips. While we are questioning inside the class, what is the effective questioning technique which we can adopt in the class? So that's the next thing. And then to learn strategies to make the students ask questions. You know that the class should be very, very inquisitive. And how is it that we can promote questioning by the students inside the class? So we will learn some quick strategies which can be used. And then finally, the last one I have kept, but I'm not sure whether I'll be able to cover this. Identify the reasons why active learning strategies may not deliver the expected outcomes. Many a times we see that we have incorporated active learning strategies, but it did not really work out the way it had to work out. And so we will, I'm not sure whether we will do this or not, but there are specific reasons which we can figure out and find out why particular strategy did not work. Right. So these are our session objectives for today. And the ground rules are that, of course, all of you are very much tuned to the Google Meet, so you have to keep yourself muted at all times unless you are asked to unmute and speak. Then feel free to communicate through the chat box. You can share your thoughts, ideas, opinion as it comes to you. If you wish to ask something, you can raise hand, and also keep noting down some ideas which you find useful, as at the end of the session, you have to list down following. I will be sharing a Google form with all of you, and you have to list down 3 key learnings from the session and 2 things that you would definitely implement in your class, and 1 question which you still have. So it's a small Google form which you have to fill by the end of the session, and then so that's kind of a reflection which you'll do on the session, on the learning of the session. So let's begin. We will begin with our first thing, and that is on what do you mean by mindsets, right? So when we are talking about growth mindset, when we are talking about fixed mindset, what is that? What do we understand by mindset, right? Now, let me tell you, because there is quite a lot to be covered, and I have got very limited time, and I want to give you the maximum. So I may go in for a little less interaction this time, right? So what do we mean by mindsets? Mindsets are the assumptions and expectations we have for ourselves and others. These attitudes, they guide our behavior and influence our responses to daily events. So we know how do we perceive a particular event, how do we react to a particular thing. So all of that is related to mindset, right? Now we can divide this mindset into two types. So one is a fixed mindset, another is a growth mindset. Is it breaking for everyone? Is my voice breaking for everyone, or is it okay? Okay. So it's okay. All right.
It's fine.
Right. So the two kind of mindsets are fixed mindset and growth mindset. When we say fixed mindset, it means intelligence is something you have or you don't have. Okay. So anyone who is with the fixed mindset will definitely think like, oh, this person is intelligent, this person is not intelligent. You have certain things, you do not have certain things, so it's like fixed, it cannot be changed. So that's the kind of mindset. And the growth mindset is that intelligence can be developed at any point in time, wherever you are, in whichever situation. If you think that this anything of yours, the skills, attitude, behavior, if you feel that yes, it can be changed, you can work it out, then it is a growth mindset, right? So while I'm going to be explaining you these points, keep on evaluating yourself. Okay, you don't have to tell about your evaluations to me, but just keep evaluating yourself. There is quite a possibility that for certain things you find yourself to be in the fixed mindset, and for certain things you find yourself in the growth mindset. That will also give you an idea that what are the changes which you need to do so that you completely adopt a growth mindset, right? So let me take you through the points. The person with fixed mindset will avoid challenges. So such a person will say, आराम से चलते हैं, whatever is the fixed way, let's move in that direction. Why is it that you have to take challenges, right? So that person will avoid if there are challenges, not a risk taker in any case, right? And the person with a growth mindset, just a second. So person with a growth mindset will embrace challenges. So such a person will not feel happy if there are no challenges in the life. This person will want to have challenges and gets a real kick in life if there are challenges. So that happens with such kind of a person. Next, gives up easily. So even if the fixed mindset person is trying to do something new and is trying it, but it does not happen, So the first attempt of first time that there is a failure, will give up. Try kiya tha, hua nahi, chhod diya, right? So that is fixed mindset. But if you are, a growth mindset person, you will find that it keeps going when things get difficult, so which means that a person who is with a growth mindset will keep on going. If it gets difficult, all the more this person will be interested in solving it, reaching to a particular destination, getting it somehow. So as it gets more difficult, this growth mindset person will not leave it till he or she is able to achieve a particular desired end. Then sees effort as a waste of time. So why is it that we have to adopt all these new techniques? I mean, we are doing very fine with this, So why do put in so much of effort? So you see effort as a waste of time for those people who are of fixed mindset. But the people who are of growth mindset, they will see effort as a path to mastery. So they will know that if I will put effort, I will be able to, master this particular thing. So they see effort as something which is very useful for their own growth. Then the people with fixed mindset, they will ignore feedback. If the feedback is given to them, they will say, oh, all right, I know many people came and many people went. I know what to do, I am fully aware of myself and exactly know what has to be done. So such people will not be really interested in taking any kind of a feedback, even if it is given. But the people with growth mindset, they will learn from feedback. You will find that these are those kind of people who will reach out to the others and say, look, I have done this. Would you like to tell me where am I going wrong? Or what is it that I can improve upon? how is it that I should do? So, some of the teachers, I'm not sure how many of you do it sometimes. If you can invite some of your colleague inside the class and say that, all right, can you just sit inside my class and watch it and tell me what is that inside my class that I can improve, right? Or when you are getting feedback from somebody, you feel happy about it because you are able to get certain things which will improve you. So any person who feels happy after receiving a feedback is, and especially a critical feedback, so then that person is of a growth mindset, right? Now, fixed mindset people will feel threatened by the success of others. How does this happen? I'm just giving you an example. Suppose there is a new teacher who walks in the staff room, and this new teacher instantly becomes popular inside the class and with the students. And you are an old teacher, and you are kind of not liking, that instant success of this new teacher. So, so you will feel threatened by the success of others. Whenever you feel that, oh, this person has come, what will happen of me now? Maybe I'll become more insignificant or something, right? So whenever you're feeling threatened by somebody's success, that is fixed mindset. But if you are able to learn, if you're able to take inspiration from the success of others, that is the time you can say that, yes, you have growth mindset. So let me find out how is it this person has been able to, kind of win over all the students. What are the things? Let me find it out, So when you are thinking in this manner, you're of growth mindset. So that's the difference between a fixed mindset and a growth mindset. Time for you actually to think, that where do you lie? Do you feel that you would kind of have a very cool and a cozy life and would not like to disturb things which are happening in your life and just move on the way it is going on? Or you would be some person who would want to take initiatives, take new things, take challenges, and then move ahead and invite more and more feedback, learn from the other people. If all of and if failure does not deter you, okay, then in that case you can consider yourself to be a growth mindset person. Now, why am I discussing this over here? Because any person who is with a growth mindset will automatically be able to transfuse that same mindset in the students also. They will be able to, tell, okay, no problem. If there are challenges, find it out, do it. Even if there's a mistake, no problem. Let's go ahead. Okay, let's do it together. So when you have that kind of a thing, you will find that the students of your class will also not feel threatened by any kind of challenges which are there. And also, you will be able to create a very cooperative learning atmosphere inside the class, right? So, so that's the thing about fixed and growth mindset. Also, when do you feel smart? A fixed mindset person will feel smart when I don't make any mistakes. So when the fixed mindset person is not making any mistake, he'll feel that, okay, I am really smart. It doesn't matter, that what level of task is being performed by that person, but that person will feel smart. Any task which you're regularly doing for years together, you'll definitely do it well. But that's the thing. It's when I finish first and it's perfect. Oh, I have been able to do it perfectly well and I am the first one. So you feel, good about it and you say, oh, I am the smartest. Tumhara nahi hua, abhi tak nahi hua. So when you say this kind of a thing, then that shows fixed mindset. And when something is easy for me and others can't do it, I will feel smart. मैंने कर लिया, दूसरे नहीं कर पाए, तो I'm feeling smart. That's fixed mindset. When does the growth mindset person feel smart? When it's really hard and I try hard and I can do something which I could not do before, which means I am trying hard to do something which I did not do before. If I'm able to do it, I'll feel smart, right? When I work on something for a long time and I'm finally able to figure it out, I'll feel smart. So, so therefore, at this point, it's very important to see where you are in the mindset, and if it, to some extent also, if there is a fixed mindset, you have to root it out, which means what I'm asking you all to do, is to take risks, to take challenges, to allow mistakes, to let the students understand that making mistakes is fine. There's no problem, but we will be able to do it and make it better. So those are the things which are important when we are talking about the our relationship with the students inside the class, our interaction with the students. If it is of growth mindset, it's going to be really beautiful. All right. So the next important thing which we have to cover, and that's something which is very important, and I'll do it with the help of a video. That is about learning intentions and success criteria. Remember, whenever you are going in a class, a 40 minutes class, you need to tell your children what are the things you are supposed to be doing with them. And they should understand that how what is expected of them, right? So if they understand it, if they get a big picture, then you'll find that it will be more fruitful. So sharing of learning objectives and revisiting of learning objectives, if possible, then we should definitely do it. So I'll just put this video on. Do let me know if you're able to hear the voice properly.
Impact of sharing learning intentions and success criteria with our students. Now, these are very critical pieces of information which the students need to be successful learners. And let's see what are learning intentions. Learning intentions are those brief statements which describe about what is that which the student should know or should understand or should be able to do as a part of their learning. So it answers the question, where am I going? And let's see some of the salient features of learning intentions. Learning intentions should be very brief and concise statements. They should be written in a student-friendly language, and also it should be very specific, demonstrating about what kind of learning is going on. So therefore, it should use observable and measurable words. Something like explain, compare, defend, assemble, classify, and so many other words. And also it should be written from the student's perspective, like I am learning to, or we are learning to. So these are the important things which we should remember while writing learning intentions.
Yes, so I think there is a comment here that it's the same as learning objectives. Absolutely. Learning objectives, learning outcomes, learning intentions, all of them have always observable and measurable work, something which will make your learning visible. So that's important. Don't ever use learn, know, understand, these kind of words in your learning intentions or learning outcomes, because these are wider interpretations. Always use very specific pointed verbs which will show how the learning is taking place, right? Okay, moving further.
And let's see some of the examples. We are learning to enlist different types of energies, construct a pie chart, solve the problem using more than one strategy, relate the effect of diet on health, work as a part of team, identify persuasive strategies used by the author. Now you see, all of these statements are brief statements, they are very concise, they are specifically telling about what kind of learning is taking place. And all of these verbs which are used are observable and measurable. So this is how learning intentions should be written. Now, let's also identify how to use the learning intentions effectively while teaching. The most important thing is to share the learning intention with the students right at the beginning. So we can have a slide ready with us on which all the learning intentions are there, and we can share that slide with the students. We can also ask the children to paraphrase it just for us to understand whether they have understood the learning intentions or not. So the reason why we should share it with
the thing is that when you are various ways that you can do it. One of the ways that if you want to save a lot of time, have it already there on the slide and just tell them. And while you are telling, don't just read out the slides. be there with the learning intention, just to give them a brief idea of what we are doing with these learning intentions. And then if you want, you can just ask the children and say, okay, tell me what is that which we are expected to be doing today. So this way you will be more than sure that they know, and your class will be set and more organized.
Is that it presents a big picture of what they can expect in the lesson. And also, we should keep revisiting our learning intentions so that we both as student and teacher stay focused and keep assessing how well these learning intentions are being achieved. And let's have a look at what are the various ways by which learning intentions can be shared with the students. We can share it with them in the form of a reflection grid, where the children write the learning intentions on, say, the left-hand side column, and on the right-hand side column, their reflections of how well have they achieved it. So, for example, if the learning intention is to construct a pie chart, then the reflection could be, I could construct the pie chart properly at the first attempt, and I feel confident now on creating more pie charts. Similarly, say another learning intention is work as a part of team. And here the child may reflect and write, I contributed to my team and gave them an idea, which everybody liked. I was also polite to team members and listened to them attentively. Now this way, they can keep writing their learning intentions and how well are they achieving it. Their own reflections on it can be written down. This is a part of metacognition.
So you see, you are also doing metacognitive strategy at the end. You're making them reflect. You can make them reflect through the reflection grid. Throughout their lesson, whatever are your learning outcomes, let them reflect on it. How well have they achieved it?
Because the children are reflecting on their learning, they are thinking metacognitively. Another way of sharing learning intention is in the form of advanced organizers, a concept map or a mind map. Say, for example, we are teaching them atoms and molecules. And in that, we want to teach them about difference between atoms and molecules, some examples of atoms, some examples of molecules, and subatomic particles. Now, what we can ask our students is, before we begin with the chapter, we can ask them to list down all that which they already know about these subtopics, and then they can keep adding the new information as you keep proceeding with each and every subtopic. So this way also we can share the learning intention with the students. By the end, they will have a proper concept map ready with them. Now,
so in this one, you see, initially you will ask them to list down what they know. And when they're writing it, you are actually connecting them to the prior knowledge. And then as you proceed with the chapter, they are kind of making their concept map ready.
let's understand about what is success.
See, all the more this will work very well for you all, because I can see unanimously in all your lesson plans, you have already created concept maps. If you have created the concept maps, then to give them a structure will become very, very easy for you, right? So this could be a nice way of sharing learning intentions with them.
Criteria. Success criteria summarizes the key themes that the students need to focus on to achieve the learning intention. So it answers the question, how am I doing? So what are the special features of success criteria? First thing, it should be written in a student-friendly language. It should be linked to the learning goal. And also, it should be worked out with the students before starting the activity. It can be shared in the form of a checklist, or in the form of a T chart, or in the form of a unit. Let's have a look at some examples. The learning goal is, we are learning to write a scary mystery story. So the success criteria can be, what am I looking for? I'm looking for setting the scene in the first paragraph, showing, not telling. The hair at the back of her neck stood at the end, rather than she was scared.
So here you are asking them to write the scary story, you're giving them the success criteria. So you're also telling them that you should not tell, rather show. So, and there is an example over there. So all the more, anyone who's kind of struggling with what do you mean by show and not tell, you have an example. So you're giving very specific success criteria to them.
Building up tension or suspense, alone in the darkness. Using spooky adjectives and powerful words. Keeping something secret or unrevealed. She could hear something scratching. putting speech marks before and after the speech, and using proper punctuation. Now, when the children will have all of this as a success criteria, they will be attempting their task in a better manner.
You agree with this or not? When you're giving any task to your children, if you give them the success criteria also, their level of performance will definitely be much as per your expectations, right? So there are more examples. Let's look at that.
Let's have a look at another example. This is from mathematics. We are learning to graph linear equations by graphing coordinate points. Now, success criteria would look like identifying appropriate x values in the domain for this function, calculating y value for a given element of the domain, graphing the coordinate points and connecting them with a line, using mathematical language in my explanation, and explaining the relationship between x and y in the linear function. All of this will help the students not miss out any step and successfully achieve the learning goal. Let's have a look at one of the social learning intention. This is, I will quietly listen to what others are saying. So the success criteria could be, I look at the person speaking. I will not interrupt the person speaking to state my thoughts. I will politely ask questions for clarity. So here we are providing them with all the important things which they should be looking for if they have to achieve this learning goal. Now let's have a look at some of the product-based success criteria. Suppose you're expecting some product to be produced by the end of the learning goal. The example is, we are learning to create a newsletter. Now here, what we can do is, the best thing is to provide them with a variety of different newsletters and together work out the success criteria. So this way, if the students are involved in creating the success criteria, they will definitely be coming out with a better product. So finally, what are the benefits of sharing success criteria? First thing is,
first of all, is this clear to you all? Just raise a thumbs up in case if some of you have understood it really well. How to create success criteria? It's basically those small little things which the children should not miss out while they are presenting the work to you. And when should we be giving the success criteria? Whenever we are expecting some task to be done, right? And it's not necessary that you have to give them 4, 5, 6 success criteria. Depending upon the task, you can give them all those things which you want them to be doing in their work or which should be visible in the work. So that's success criteria. If you start using it in your class, you'll find that your students, they will achieve success. They'll be doing much better. Let's see the benefits.
The success criteria provides the tool for students to self-monitor their progress. Students are more successful and they're more engaged with the task if they would know very clearly what success looks like. Also, they will be able to do the self or peer assessment very nicely because the success criteria is already provided to them. And also, teacher can provide very constructive and effective feedback to the students because there are crisp success criteria which have already been formulated.
Now, this is important for us to understand that why is it so useful? It is useful because if I have been given success criteria, I will be able to monitor my own success and I will be able to see that out of these 6 points which my teacher gave, I've been able to do 4, but I've not been able to do 2. So I'm giving myself a feedback, right? Similarly, if you're going in for peer assessment, there will be peer feedback on those success criteria. If the teacher is giving the feedback, the teacher will be able to specifically tell that, look, you've been able to meet out these points and these 2 points are something which are missing and this is how you can achieve it, right? So this is known as a constructive feedback. Whenever we are saying formative assessments, generally we say that assessment of learning is summative assessment and assessment for learning is formative assessment. But assessment for learning is equal to formative assessment plus formative feedback. Until and unless your formative assessment is not associated with a formative feedback, till that time it does not become assessment for learning, right? And I'm not going further in this video. If you want, I can share the video with you all in the group. In this, you will find that I've also talked about John Hattie's research and what is the impact of feedback on the student's success, right? So, so therefore, this was something which I wanted to share, that first of all, share learning intentions with your students, and also share the success criteria. Wherever it is required, share success criteria with your students. These are the 2 points which I wanted to bring home for all of you. Okay. I hope you're noting down the important points, because by the end of the session, you're supposed to be filling a reflection grade. So let me just stop this and share my presentation again.
Also, just a small note कि भाई जिसका फॉर्म नहीं भराएगा, अश्विनी उस पे रेड करने वाली है.
Now I'm going to be sharing with you some of these strategies, quick strategies, which you should, some of the resources which you should definitely have inside your class all the time. And any teacher who's coming can be using this. I could see this being used only in very, very few classes. I can say 5% of the classes that I saw. So what is a lolly lotto? Lolly lotto is basically you are giving ice cream sticks to the students and you are asking them to write their names on it, or you write the names on it. Better that you write the names of all the children with the same sketch pen, and I'll tell you why. And then that is something which was always there with you. Use a glass or any tumbler in which you are keeping these lolly sticks, right? Now, you must have heard about difference. I will take a separate session with you all on differentiation. So I'm not harping too much on differentiation at the moment. But in differentiation, you can do a lot of differentiation through lolly sticks as well. Yeah, some of them are saying we are using it. This is basically to keep all your children attentive and to show that you are an absolutely fair teacher, right? Not that sometimes children will feel that teacher मुझसे पूछते ही नहीं है, or otherwise they might feel पता नहीं टीचर को मुझसे क्या प्रॉब्लम है, मुझे से पूछते हैं, right? So both these things might happen. So if you want to have an image of a very fair teacher, you can use lolly sticks and you can say that, all right, I'm going to be asking you questions and I'm going to be using this. So the moment you say this, you will find all your children will be attentive to hear the question, because they know it could be anybody's name which will come out, right? So this is just to keep them attentive. Vis-a-vis, when you say your question and those who are raising hands, you are asking them. So most of the other children have the liberty to sit quietly and not think, right? So when you are using lolly sticks inside the class for questioning, that becomes an active learning strategy. That is one. I will be telling you about one more questioning strategy towards the end. But if you want to do differentiation by questioning over here, when you are asking a question, and if you know that this question is of a slightly low level or a middle level or a higher level, and you have taken out a stick, but that's not according to the level of the student, the question is not, so you can change the name, because it's only you who is able to see the name, right? So whatever name may become, but you know that, okay, this question, I think I should be asking this person only. So you can play smart over here. That's not a problem. And you can do differentiation by questioning as well. Supposing yourself to be an absolutely fair teacher, and you are doing, but you are actually supporting the children by giving them questions according to their level. Then the next strategy which you can use is the response card. So in the response cards, you will find, I will show you a response card here. This is another thing which you can permanently ask all your children to keep, something like an L folder. And in the L folder, there is a white sheet. Keep a white sheet inside. Okay. Now this becomes like your whiteboard. So if this becomes like a whiteboard, all of them are supposed to be just carrying a whiteboard marker and this with them, and a paper napkin on a small duster. If you want this to make to be a permanent and a more durable thing, ask them to get it laminated, right? And once this is done, this is a quick formative assessment. You want to do revision, and you want all your children to be responding simultaneously. So suppose there is something which you are asking and you have given the properties of something, and you say, all right, draw a figure which kind of suits the property which I have show, which I have told, right? And so what you can do is you can just show this. Sorry, you can just show this. There is a chat which is popping up every time, so I'm not able to see whether I'm able to show this or not. So you can show, they will draw the figure, they will write any word, whatever is there, they will immediately respond, and the entire class will show it to you simultaneously. You as a teacher within seconds will be able to see who are the children who are struggling and who are the children who have got the concept, right? This is known as response card. Response cards could be there in many manner. You know, if for your little children, you can have something where it is written. So noun and verb and adjective, and you say, I'm going to be speaking out certain words, you have to raise the card accordingly, whether it's noun or it's adverb, adjective. So index cards can be made. Those are also known as a response card. You can have a true and false. So on one side of the response card, true is written, other side false is written, and very quickly they will keep on telling you whether it's true or false, right? So this is something which you can use in your class permanently. This could be a permanent resource. The third thing which should become a norm in your class is about having buzz groups, right? Something which you are using, like Think, Pair, Share you are using. You can have this concept of buzz groups wherein you feel that anything which you want that the students should be discussing and then telling you. Most of the time, don't ask them to think individually. Let them have peer support, because this is also differentiation. So you can say that, okay, turn to your partner, just talk about it for 2 minutes, and then I'll get it from all the other students. So this way what happens, that if suppose I am a child who does not know much what you are asking, but if my partner knows, at least I'll have some response. And when you will ask me, I will be able to tell you. So my confidence level will go up. So peer support, as much as you are able to provide inside the class, that will be good. But this is slightly different from the peer support. You're saying that, all right, so 2-3 children who are sitting very close to each other, they quickly turn to each other and you say, all right, guys, let's buzz for some time. And then we'll have the whole class sharing, right? So you can say 2 minutes, off you people go, do your buzzing, and then come out with your points, right? So buzz is even when you are questioning. In questioning also, if you allow them sometimes difficult questions, allow them to collaborate, buzz, and then come out with the answer. Anyways, they are learning, right? So that's the concept of buzz groups, and you can use this in your class. The other concept which you can use in your class is, all right, this I think quite a few of you would be knowing. This is known as hot potato, okay? So in hot potato, you can keep something like a squeezy ball, okay, with you, this, right? And you say, all right, this is a potato, everybody, and this is hot, right? And to whomsoever I will throw this, you have to understand it's hot, so you have to quickly give it back to me with the answer. Now, this is again a strategy which will make all your children active. How can you do it? You can ask a question, and then you throw it to the child whomsoever you want it to be answered. That child will reply, you throw it again to another one, and then third and fourth. If suppose there are multiple answers, you can use this. If there are different answers also, keep on changing your questions and throwing it to the students. There is a little bit of kinesthetic activity which is there, so therefore it works well. Children are happy to do it. Another way that you can do in this is that you can ask the children to create at least 2 to 3 questions. Give them 2 minutes to create their questions, and then you give it to one of the students and say, ask your question, throw it to whomsoever you want it to be answered. That child will answer the question, and then he'll throw with his question to some other student, right? But with this, when you're doing with this, you are supposed to be setting your rules very clearly. Okay, you say that it's okay even if it falls down. We'll quickly find out, whosoever finds the ball near will hand it over. Okay, we are not going to create a furor if suppose the ball goes here and there. So let them be happy about it, but then that should not become a distraction. So if your rules are set very properly, you will be able to do this nicely inside your class. Again, this is something which you can use for your quick formative assessment. So 4 things that I have told you. One is your lolly sticks. Another is the response card. Third is you can use buzz groups. And the fourth is this hot potato. Or these will make your children very, very active. Like this, there are multiple strategies which you can use. Don't keep on repeating the same because children will get bored. So you have to every time kind of pull out a new strategy from your hat, become a more unpredictable teacher. So you have to keep researching on good strategies, right? So I've just brought 4 for you all for the time being. Now, yes, coming on to the next important point, and that is the effective questioning techniques. Okay, how is it that we can effectively question inside the class? You might be feeling that I am kind of rushing because the fact is that I have to complete all of these things and give it to you. So therefore, that's the reason. Effective questioning tips. So here, the first effective questioning tip is that plan ahead, which means that you have to think about your questions beforehand. Your list of questions should be ready. You shouldn't be just standing over there and thinking, oh, okay. So you are taking a lot of time in creating your questions. That's first. Plan ahead your questions, and while you're planning your questions, see that your questions are from different levels of Bloom's taxonomy. You are making some questions on understanding and knowledge level, some on application and analysis, and some on evaluation and creation. So you have variety of questions with you. If you have that, that will be good. That's a good questioning technique, right? Then the second thing is no hands approach. In no hands approach, you have to see that most of the time, wherever you want that, when you know that only few children will be knowing the answers, then you can ask them to raise their hands. But when you're kind of doing revision, then in that case, say no hands approach. Nobody will be raising the hand. I will choose who is going to be answering. So that's another technique. The third one is, this is known as pause, pause, bounce, and bounce. This is very important for all of us to understand that when we are asking our questions, we should not first raise our student, बच्चे को खड़ा कर दिया और तब हमने सवाल पूछा, right? If we do like that, what happens is that child whom you have raised is nervous, and in that state only he is thinking about the answer, and whatever is the first answer which will come to the child will speak. More than that, all the other children in the class are chilling out because they know the teacher hasn't asked the question to them. So they may be thinking, they may not be thinking. So the good thing is that you first pose your question, which means your question is posed to everybody. And then you pause. Pause means you have to take, this is known as a wait time, and you have to wait for say 3 seconds, right? It's very difficult to wait for 3 seconds after asking a question. You can check it out. Okay, so you have to pause, and after that it's bounce. Now bounce is like choose who is the child who is going to be answering. You can do it with lolly sticks, your hot potato, or yourself you can choose. So you are bouncing, and then it's bounce. Bounce means you can, instead of you telling whether the answer is correct or not, you can bounce it to the other child and say, all right, what do you feel? Is that correct or is it not correct? Would you like to add something to it? You know, so what you're doing is you are bouncing the answer to another child with a little more question into it. So the strategy is pose your question first to the entire class, then pause for 3 seconds, and then bounce, and then bounce. So let this become a very normal and a usual technique of asking questions inside your class, which means you're doing it without any effort. Okay. Then the next thing is to be respectful to the students' responses, which means that instead of saying that, oh no, that's correct, that's incorrect, that's not a right answer. You know, instead of saying that, you can say that, all right, okay, let's hear it from the others also. Let's find it out what others have to say. So what happens is you're moving your attention from that child, make the child sit. And then when the right answer comes out, the child automatically understands that this is the right answer, right? So you do not have to directly kind of point out and say it's a wrong answer. Be acceptable to the answer, but of course make it clear that what is actually the right answer so that everybody understands. So be respectful to whatever responses are coming from the students. Then the next thing is allow the students to discuss before answering. This is like, let them collaborate before they are asking. You can ask them to buzz or turn to their partner. In case if you feel that this kind of an answer needs some kind of a collaboration, you can ask them to discuss and then answer. Then stimulate the discussion by asking probing questions. So some of the teachers, some of the classes which I observed, especially of the senior sections, I found them, they did probing very well. And it was really enjoyable to watch those classes. Probing in the sense they will not tell the answer. The teacher should be the last person to tell the answer. So you will keep on asking, you will keep on going deep into the things. Or if they are not getting the right answer, you will keep on kind of providing them slight hints so that they are able to reach there. But probing is more to find out whether they have got the real concept or they have not got it, right? So you have to develop this probing skill. Keep on asking why. So when you ask why, that's also probing, okay? Then the next thing is, yes, to be the last one to answer. That I think was there, I could see in most of the classes. Practice differentiation in questioning, which you now know very well, that try to pose the question according to the level of the student. Low ability, middle ability, high ability, accordingly you try to pose the question. And then the next is, do not pose questions that are vague, ambiguous, or beyond the level of the student. So vague and ambiguous questions should not be posed. And finally, encourage the students to ask questions. The last point is very important. You have to make the children ask questions, right? And so how can you promote questioning in students? So I've brought some strategies for you. Very quickly, I'll tell you, how can you have a questioning classroom? Any classroom in which children are not asking questions, which means that you have not been able to raise the curiosity of the students, right? And that will not happen automatically, because not many students are thinking about questions, right? But you have to provide them opportunity where they should be asking questions. So let's see how is it that you can do it. So strategies to promote questioning. One of the strategies is, what can you ask about this? So if you see here, say there are two pictures. If you put anything, suppose you are, there is a picture, there is a video, audio piece, demonstration setup, any case study, right? What will you ask your children? You can say that, okay, now that you're looking at this picture, tell me, what can you ask about this? Now, normally we say them that interpret this picture or try to tell what is that which you are seeing. So I tell them, what can you ask about this picture, right? So that also will help them to develop the questions. And obviously, they will be asking you very relevant things. Then the next strategy is known as beat the teacher, right? So in this strategy, this is again a very interesting strategy, wherein suppose you have kind of finished a lesson and you want to go in for a good revision of that lesson. So what you can say that, fine, we've now kind of finished this. What you have to do is you go back home and try to find out as many questions as possible. If you want, you can research it from internet as well and bring out good questions to the class tomorrow. And you will be asking those questions to me, right? And I will be answering your questions. In case if I'm not able to answer your questions, I'll consider myself beaten, right? And if I'm able to answer all your questions and then I'll ask you a question, if you're not able to answer, then you are beaten, right? So here what is happening, it's the teacher-student role which is exchanged. And when you make the children create questions, don't you think they will know the answers? If they're asking questions, they will definitely know the answers, right? And they will bring in some very good questions also inside the class. So the textbook which they never read is something, or which they do not like to read, they will go home and they will try to read it. And that's one. But the bigger challenge would be that if they bring out good questions to you and you do not really know the answer, so what will happen? I mean, your image, your reputation is at stake, right? So what is that which you can do if you do not know the answer and the children have brought in some questions, right? I would have taken some responses from you, but time constraint is there, so I'm not taking it. You can go ahead and say, brilliant question. I do not know the answer of it. Accept it. And say, let's have an applause for this child for bringing such a wonderful and a beautiful question. Now you will explain it to the whole class. What is the answer of it? Another thing, many a times this would happen inside your class, and how can you be a smart teacher? That is something which will come in my next strategy. But many a times some children, they come out with some good questions, right? And frankly speaking, you don't know the answer of it, right? So what is that which you can do? You can have in your class a chart paper on which it is written parking lot, right? And you can say, All right, I think this is a very good question, but if we address this question at the moment, we will digress. Let us write this question in the parking lot and we'll come back to this question as soon as we have time, right? So you will be able to buy some time to work out on that question, and then you can, parking lot, Wonderwall, yes, correct. So this is something you can use in case if you feel that you don't want to reveal to the students that you don't know the answer, then you can use this as a strategy. Otherwise also, you can ask some of your children who are asking good questions to put their questions over there. So with this, what will happen? The children will have a tendency of creating and asking good questions just because they want their question to be finding a place in the parking lot, right? So that is also, that's beat the teacher strategy, which you can use. The third strategy is known as a questioning minute. Every time you have finished a small little concept, you can ask the children, all right, let's stop for a minute. And I want you to create at least one question or two questions based on what we have studied so far, right? So that's known as a questioning minute. And then what they can do is that they can always exchange or they can ask the questions to their classmates. So this could be a good revision technique wherein you are not creating questions, it's the students who are creating questions, right? Then the next technique is, of course, which I said is a parking lot. Parking lot is wherein you are asking the children to be creating questions which can be addressed later. Therefore, it is known as a parking. That you are parking your questions over there and we'll come back to those questions. But then good questions will not lose your sight in such case. If you have a parking lot, you'll have a bank of good questions and you will be coming back to those questions in the class. So these are some of the ways. There are multiple other ways of creating a questioning classroom, but these are some of the ways by which you can make your children create questions inside the class. All right, so persistent questioning and healthy inquisitiveness are the first requisite for acquiring learning of any kind. A saying by Mahatma Gandhi, how important it is that we need to have persistent questioning, right? So I am so happy that I have been able to cover even the last point, which I was not sure that I will be able to do it or not. The thing which I want to discuss with you all is what could be the reasons for an activity to not deliver the expected outcomes. I have seen some of the classes where the teacher planned the activity, but it did not take off. It did not yield the desired results. So I could have taken, points from you. Ideally, I should have taken it from you, but I'm not, or maybe, okay, let me spend a minute here. Put it in the chat box and put, yes, ambiguous instructions. If your instructions are not very clear, then the activity will not work out. Yeah, let's hear from others. Time management, okay, if you have not allotted right time to the things, then also the time constraint is something, if you are planning the activity, you know that, this much time is there and therefore you are planning the activity. Group formation may take a lot of time and so that may not happen really well. Classroom management, indiscipline inside the class, there could be a chaos, setting of ground rules may not happen very properly. It's not an age appropriate activity. Very nice. It is too easy or too difficult. Specific instructions are lacking, improper pre-planning which is there, right? Resources. You can also think about how are you managing the resources. Yes, more explanation is required sometimes. Okay, so let's see some of the reasons which I've listed here is maybe the activity is not too interesting for the students. It's either too easy or it's very difficult, right? So it's not age appropriate. When I talk to you all about differentiation, at that time I'll tell you how is it that you can do differentiation by activity, wherein you can have all your learners engaged. Yeah, so it's not an interesting activity. The second thing is it could be because there is a chaos inside the classroom due to the indiscipline. Now, how do you tackle this indiscipline? Indiscipline will happen, it's only because of us, not because of children. If we have not anticipated the areas where there could be indiscipline, then indiscipline will happen, right? So when you are designing your strategy, you have to create visual image of how your class would be, right? And you have to tell them about the rules, not just about what activity they are supposed to be doing or how they are supposed to be doing it. You also have to tell them specifically about what behavior are you expecting from them. You know, what kind of a movement are you expecting inside the class? How are you wanting to be behaving with the resources? What way you want the time management to be done? How do you want the group to be involved, right? So if you are specifically giving them these instructions, you will find that your activity will happen in a more organized manner. Secondly, group distribution should not take more than 1 minute. If it's taking more than 1 minute in your class, which means that it is not the proper way that you are doing it, right? So there are various ways by which you can do group distribution. You can have your slide which is ready with the group numbers and the members of the name written over there in a tabular form. Suppose 6 groups are there, and then you can write group number 1, these could be the students, and you have created that, and you are projecting it on the slide, so children are able to see, you know, which group they are. Very quietly with a zip, they will be moving to their places, respective places. So that will take 15 seconds, 20 seconds, not more than that. Depends upon how are you giving the instruction. So group formation should not be taking much time if you are giving proper instructions. Then requires elaborate resources. Resource distribution takes a lot of time. If suppose you have done an activity which requires multiple and various kind of resources, and you have not thought about how will you distribute it, and if that distribution is taking a lot of time, then in that case, again, your activity is headed towards failure. Next is requires a lot of time investment, you know, which means that it's not something which you're able to finish it in one period, or it will maybe carried on to the second period. The results are not coming of that activity within that period. You know, if it requires lot of time investment, then also the activity does not work. If it rolls over to many periods, does not involve all the students, only some students are working and others are looking. So if that happens, then also it is not going to work out. If only some children are working and some are not working, right? So so that's about the reasons why it does not work out inside your class if the active learning strategy is failing. Main reason for that is about how have you designed it, how have you timed it, how are you giving the instructions, right? And how are you planning the support for them, right? Okay, so well, I ran like an express train, and I'm really sorry for that, because I don't carry out a training session like that. But yes, we can open this for question answers, and simultaneously I am sharing the link of the Google form with you, which you can fill. And just give me a second. I will copy the link and send it to you in the chat box.
On a lighter note, when I asked my daughter that, okay, now you have to ask me a question while we were traveling,
Okay.
she asked me the question, Papa, how many trees are there in the world?
In the world. Okay.
And
Yes. So
yeah,
you can say, all right, what do you think? What do you expect? How many trees do you think would be there? You know, sometimes we need to question the question.
her answer was so many trees that you can't count. And then there were countless questions, मतलब जिनके सबके आंसर वही थे.
That's nice. I have already shared the link of the reflection sheet, and time for you all. You can just ask your questions in case if there are any. Should I share the link again? Okay, I will. Check the link again. This was a complete monologue without taking your inputs, though I could see many things coming in the chat box. But you can still, I think we can go in for 2 to 3 minutes extension in terms of, in case if you want to talk about, ask something, say something, add something of value, you can do that.
Anupama ma'am, would you like to add something? Mukesh sir?
Everybody seems to be busy in filling the reflection sheet because you said Ashwini is going to be reading. If you don't
मुझे
mind.
बोलना पड़ा. I actually asked a few people कि भाई वो सेशन में ये हुआ था तो did you remember? तो there were a lot of blank faces. तो मजबूरी में बोलना पड़ा मुझे.
Oh, send the link again. I'm sure you would be able to access the chat box.
I think she might have dropped out and joined. That's why.
Okay, maybe.
Yeah.
That's the reason. Yeah. All right. I don't think there are many things which are coming up as such, because everybody kind of is busy.
So actually Mukesh sir is not there today in the meet, and Anupama ma'am was there.
These were actually some of the things which I found, were missing in the class observations. So I thought that I should put it together and then kind of tell everybody. And of course, you are putting in your things in the reflection sheet. I'll go through it and see what are the points of value that you got. All right. So I think, Siddharthji, what do you say? Should I leave the meet now? Right?
Yes, we can close. Thank you so much,
Thank you.
everyone, for joining in. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Please share the link of success criteria video.
I'll send it. Sure.
All right. Thank you, everybody. Bye. Good evening.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Sure. Karan, go
Thank you, ma'am.
go drink water and
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.